Welcome to Sports Medicine on Tap. My name is Brandon O'Lyon. I'm sitting at Neck of the Woods Brewing Company on this lovely Tuesday evening with my good friend Dr. Frey. Dr. Frey, how you doing? And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, man. Yeah,
Kind of weird. We're like 2 weeks into the new year and we're still saying it, but
I know.
It's like January is the cutoff.
We had ourselves pretty big hiatus.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like holiday time.
Yeah.
It kept falling each holiday, right around our recording time. Whatever. Just
Life.
made it a little bit of a challenge. Yeah.
So a new year brings a new guest.
That it does.
So if you don't mind,
Yeah, for sure. So
who do we got tonight?
one of our new sports medicine docs at Virtua Reconstructive Orthopedics, Dr. Nicholas Bertha. He went to med school at Drexel, did his residency out in Penn State, and then came to us via University of Colorado, where he did his sports medicine fellowship. Has a little bit of a specialty niche within hip arthroscopy and some complex knee problems.
Nice.
And interestingly enough, has hosted his own podcast, some ortho radio. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity. It'll be a lot of fun.
Welcome to the area. Welcome to the group. It sounds like I'm glad to hear that things are picking up. And it's always a little bit tough to make that adjustment and make that start. But yeah,
It's coming along, slowly but surely.
for sure,
That's
for
good.
sure.
So before we go ahead and get deep into this episode tonight, we're just going to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, Virtua Orthopedics and Spine. From runners knee to dog walkers, hip to yard work, back, and laptop wrist, they have a doc for that. So find the right specialist for you at virtua.org/ortho. So tonight we're going to kind of do a usual NFL playoff
Kind of roundup?
Kind of roundup, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the word I'm looking for. We just got through wild card weekend, and everybody at this table does not have a team in the playoffs anymore. We have Pittsburgh on that side, Philly on this side.
It's nice to not be alone.
And the state of Pennsylvania is out of the playoffs. So rough weekend for us as fans. But with a slew of crazy wild card games came a decent chunk of injuries.
Right.
Some things that will have implications going forward for these playoff teams who are still in it. So we can definitely just kind of chop away at it, if you will.
The NFL is very different now, right? Like there were the kind of the perennial teams that were there year in, year out for the last, 5 years, 8 years.
Yeah.
And like this seems to be the big rollover
Yeah.
year. I don't know if it's going to bounce back again next year, but AFC more so than an NFC, but even both sides.
Right.
Like it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, a lot of different changes. Although the Patriots are back, looking
Right.
For
good
the
again.
love of God, if one team was going to bounce back quickly, did it have to be the Patriots?
Right. That, and I think Matt Stafford's the only quarterback out of the 8 teams that are out of the 8 quarterbacks left to have won a Super Bowl. So it's either, if the Rams go out, we're getting a new crown to some new quarterback this year, which would be pretty interesting. And it's, it is nice to see a change of pace of like a different
Sure.
team do really well. And, these teams that are left are just, some of them have had a really hot hand this year and they're doing really well. And
Right.
some of them, even, for example, the 49ers have been banged up all year and somehow still figure it out and they keep the things rolling.
Smoke and mirrors, man. It's pretty amazing what's going on
Yeah.
out there. It's hard to explain.
Yeah, very much so.
It's also like you see just how hard it is to repeat. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
100%.
Because the Eagles are still probably the best team in the NFL, and out in the first round. It's tough.
Yeah, it's just the way it is. Sometimes I saw it was one of these things. The Eagles have had an on-season, off-season, on-season, off-season. So hopefully next year we back on.
Right.
With that, the Eagles did get knocked out by the 49ers this weekend. And the biggest name from that game that went down was George Kittle, unfortunately suffered a torn Achilles.
You could see it the moment it happened.
Oh, yeah, the very classic. And I feel like, I don't know what it is, the last, couple years, replay is just so good at zooming in and they see that
Catching
that calf jolt in the
reverberation.
The reverberation's a big word that sportscasters love, right? And then, it's just a kind of routine play. He just kind of was trying to brace himself a little bit, plan it, and it just
You
went
can just
down
see it
hard.
go.
Yeah.
You can just see it go just
He
right there.
didn't go down like a ton of bricks. Like he still tried to push forward another step or two. Tough dude.
Yeah.
Tough dude.
Yeah, and so it was interesting to see and to kind of go a little bit about the tough guy mantra with him. Apparently, there's been some circulation around the internet as well that 49er staffer was requested to go get him a bottle of tequila after the game. And he had himself some drinks afterwards to kind of drown his sorrows out a little bit there.
Yeah. Should have come on down to the neck of the woods.
Yeah, and give him some of these sours and probably would have made things a little bit better. big hit for them because, I mean, George Kittle is by far one of the better tight ends in the league. He's definitely, unfortunately, up there in age. I think he's in his upper 30s, 36 or so.
That'll take us to the final question after we talk about it a little bit. But we don't have to go there just yet.
So, with that, and they've had a slew of injuries with our heavily talked about pre-fantasy football draft candidate. Ricky Pearsall has been in and out with his PCL injury that's kind of up and down.
Yeah. Had him all 3 teams that I was in, all 3 leagues, and disappointed in all 3.
Maybe next year's his bounce back year.
My bad. Yeah. So, and so then with that, you were kind of, I guess, propping up some of the online speculation.
So there's been this, this thing. I try to keep a tab on what's happening in social media for this podcast specifically. But something that's been floating around the internet and on X, formerly known as Twitter, is that the 49ers training facility is right next to a electrical substation or some kind of a power plant, if you will. And apparently that this power plant emits a low frequency electromagnetic field around the practice facility on a regular basis. And I mean, if you just look up 49ers practice facility on like a Google Maps, you see the practice field, and right next to it is all this equipment and all this electrical stuff. Right. And someone, I don't know their credentials, but you can find it online, very simple by looking at it. They made a post and they were saying that, chronic exposure to this low frequency electromagnetic field can, degrade collagen and mess up your ligaments and your tendons, cause a lot of soft tissue injuries. And apparently, since the 49ers have moved facilities back in, I think, 2014, they've been one of the most injured teams with the most games lost per injury, kind of like in the league. And they've had all of these, Achilles tears, these ACL tears, all these soft tissue, these really, more severe hamstrings than you see kind of across the league and their other counterparts from different places. And it was one of those things where it's like, oh man, this is just kind of clickbait and it's kind of going somewhere. I think there's been some people who've kind of debunked this idea. Right. Some governing bodies that, say that the electromagnetic whatever is out there is safe. There's nothing, whatever.
Utter nonsense.
But this guy who apparently went through or around the facility with some kind of meter that measures this, whatever. This is way out of my,
sure.
Way out there. Yeah. And that it was just reading like levels that are way higher than what, the safe dosage is.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like, wow, like environmental hazard of work kind of deal. Like these guys are going out there, they're exerting themselves. And you just look at the track record of all the people they've had hurt recently, right? Brandon Ayuk went down with a pretty wicked ACL tear. Mm-hmm. Christian McCaffrey gets traded from Carolina, goes there his first year. Bilateral tendinitis. That's
number of injuries throughout his career, but right.
He wasn't a super healthy ox in Carolina the whole time, but then he goes to, at least in Carolina for the most part, I think it was like a pretty bad like high ankle sprain that kind of held him out for a while. But then he goes to the San Francisco, tendinitis, bilateral tendinitis, and all these. And then he falls. Granted, he falls on a flex knee. It's screaming PCL.
Right.
Whether these electromagnetic fields made his PCL weaker and that fall made it a difference, or you go with Ricky Pearsall, another PCL, or these weird things.
In the past, Debo, right? I think in the past, Jawan Jennings, like there, the number of the defensive players, like Bosa can't get on the field, and the guy
Warner,
right now, Fred Warner right now,
I think it's a really interesting idea, like that they have this and that it may be affecting them. But I don't know. I just don't know that I buy it. It's one of those things like we do stim and other like electrical.
I was going to make that joke. I think it should be healing them, right?
Like if anything, this should be like making them better. You know,
right.
They should be like bionic people. Yeah. But I don't know. It's interesting, but I don't know that there's a whole lot of volition to it yet.
Now, we'll say like it's real, right? There are electromagnetic fields. Like it absolutely happens. You have a current, it generates a field around it.
Right.
And how far does that go? I have no idea. Right. Like, and then does that actually cause any problems or cause any issues? Like, I'm gonna guess probably not. But there's someone's gonna come up with something.
Yeah. It's a good. If anything, it's really good clickbait. It's a discussion got brought here. It was even I want to say Juwan Jennings from the 49ers after the game. Someone asked him how the team does so well.
Yeah, it's because it gets stimmed the entire practice.
He said essentially it was the power plant. It gives them extra juice kind of deal. So it's one of those buzzworthy topics that's been floating around a little bit. But I
gotta
mean,
be careful. You gotta end up too close to the microwave. You're gonna be starting to get that radiation.
Yeah, right.
Well, that is how they found like microwaves way back when, right? Some dude was working in a
Melted the chocolate in his pocket.
What's
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
So I heard a different story. Yeah, he was working in one of the satellite cups or satellite, and then came down, and sure enough, he's like half cooked, and it was turned out it was microwaves, and they're like, what did that to him? And so there can be stuff out there, right?
Right. But at the same time, it just kind of, the injury bug, if you will, can just be at random. It could just happen whenever. And that can kind of translate us or move us over a little bit to talk about the Buffalo Bills and their kind of injury report.
Wait. We got to finish up with George Kittle.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
So I am very curious, right? Like, and there is controversy to this, way more controversy than I think more people would think. And especially you start comparing like United States results to European results and whatnot. And the fact that he's an NFL player may weigh into it. But Dr. Bertha, news guy on the block, coming out of fellowship, has all the data. Granted, not his niche specialty, but what are your thoughts on Achilles tendon tears, how they're treated, how they're handled, and what are your expectations for George Kittle?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because there's a lot of newer literature that a lot of it suggests that these are injuries that we probably don't need to treat operatively in most people. There's a lot of stuff that says if we put you in a boot, allow the tendon to start to scar in, get your foot in a little bit of plantar flexion, that'll start to scar in, and that the overall rates of getting back to your return to play and your function is very good. There are a couple smaller studies saying maybe you get some better push off, maybe in those really high level athletes.
With or without?
With the surgery, that you're getting a little bit better push off and that you're getting back to really maybe that high end athletics.
Right.
But for your general population, it's one of those things they've moved really far away from being like all of these need surgery to very few needing surgery.
Yeah. Which is shocking because I don't know that that's even still like generally accepted across the board when it comes within the, but that's how they treated him in Europe. They didn't operate, and I was like, you don't what? It was total craziness, and it's such a foreign concept here, but it is becoming, I think, just like I said, more mainstream for the everyday person. Maybe not a professional athlete, but for the everyday person.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's something too. From a complication standpoint. Achilles tears are not trivial. Like the actual procedure of reattaching the tendon is not that significant, but the wound complications, infections, like those things are real and they can be really detrimental.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when they go awry, they go really awry. It's bad, and you could do everything right, and it could just still happen.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
So big deals if that happens.
So and so with that. Do you think he has surgery on his Achilles, or do you think he doesn't have surgery on his Achilles?
I think they do it. I think for a high level athlete like that,
I would say almost for sure.
Yeah.
Right. And I also think, we've talked about this before, and we've talked about it with Dr. Brandt. We've had a few different people on. I think they're so. This isn't based in science. This is my own opinion here, but I do think, and I give a lot of credit to the PARS system, the Arthrex system, for a lot of these tears where you're sort of getting the best of both worlds, where you're doing a surgery, you're capturing the tendon, you're getting the two ends well opposed, but you could still kind of go through that non-operative protocol, and you're not making a big long incision, you're not compromising blood supply to the area quite as much. And then you can also put in an internal ridge. You can attach that tendon right down directly to the calcaneus. So I feel like that gives you a little bit of the best of both worlds there. So there are still risks. It's still surgery, but it's not a big long incision in an area that doesn't, what we call a watershed area, an area that doesn't have great blood supply, and hopefully minimizing some of the complications there, but giving you the best chance by following some of that non-operatives. I don't know. That's my take on it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree. I think the PARS is a nice way to be somewhere in the middle where you're still getting a repair, you're being as minimally invasive as possible and trying to minimize those risks. But, at the same time, there's still all those risks. If it goes bad, it's one of those things. Yeah. It goes really bad.
Was Ryan Howard Achilles or patella? It was Achilles,
he had
right?
Achilles,
yeah. And then I think he did get infected, and that was part of the downward spiral. Yeah.
And you never want to see I think that's like something like you just said of just like surgery is just so common, like common language is just so accepted.
Yeah.
It's like, well, yeah, when you do that, there's so many risks still that still can happen. And then next thing you know, a lot of things go wrong. Like you said, If it goes bad, it goes really bad.
Yeah. Wound breakdown, tissue breakdown, then your plastics coverage. Like it can really go. You can really go pretty messy.
Yeah, and I think the question is that, you know, gain from surgery that you get with the push off power and what you have, is that clinically significant?
Yeah.
And maybe for you or I, you know, where we're not doing high level athletics, I think the answer
Speak for yourself, buddy.
Yeah. You know, it's probably like, hey, it doesn't matter, but you know, for someone that's playing in the NFL, maybe that little bit is what's giving them that edge that they need to do what they do. So
then the follow up question for that is, so what do you expect for this 30? How old?
He's 32. I originally said 36, but
he looks 38.
Yeah. He's a little older, but no, he's 32, which is on the, you know, the upper echelon of the age gap here for, you know, the NFL. So we'll see. I think he comes back because I don't think any of these guys who are on the end like to go out like that. They like to go out on their own terms. You know, it sucks that it happened so late in the season. So it's going to be.
That was my next question.
That's going to be
when does he come back?
When does he come back?
Yeah.
I mean, he's not going to be ready for camp, more or less. I mean, but maybe towards the tail end, like sometime if they make the playoffs again next year, he could be involved a little bit. But then you think of that too, right? So then he wastes not waste, but, you know, comes back, rehabs all of next year.
Right.
Now he's 33, 34, pending when his birthday is.
Yeah.
And then
not playing
if
shape.
he's not really playing that well, is he going to want to go out with like a 2-game season, or is he going to try again? And then you're talking you're 34, 35 going into your final season for one more ride kind of deal. And, you know, I think being a tight end in the NFL is one of those really hard jobs. You have to block these big guys. You have to be fast and agile to beat the little guys who are fast. And then you got to catch a ball on top of it and break tackles and, you know, be so effective in the open field, which he's been for his career.
Right.
But I definitely think the torn Achilles on your injury history definitely slows you down a little bit, and you lose a little bit of like that explosive power, which you generate from having that good push-off.
Yeah. What do you think?
I agree. I mean, I think at best, you know, kind of getting back maybe mid-season.
Yeah.
You know, but to your point, it's one of those things, like, that's a hard injury to come back from. You're not going to have that same explosiveness you had. You're 32, you know, and all things considered in the NFL, you know, 32 is starting to get up there. Like, that's not easy to come back from and compete at the same level, especially as everyone's getting faster, stronger, and doing everything like that. So, you know, do I think he'll get back? I think so, you know, and I think, you know, he'll start to make that progress. Will he be quite as effective as he was? I don't know. Time will tell.
Yeah.
I think I'm probably right there on the same page. I feel like, for the most part, it is an Achilles tear. It's a bad injury, and like almost everybody will lose at least a little bit, like at least a little bit. So it depends. And you know, in the NFL, there's not a huge margin of error, and for as good as he's been throughout his career, I have felt like there's been a little bit of decline for him for the last 1 or 2 years. Although I have to say, it looked like there was a resurgence down the stretch this year. Like he was playing a little bit better again. But like he might have been heading towards the end, at least getting close to the end, without this particular injury.
Right.
And you know, like he also there's the rumors flying around, like you were saying, like when he figured out, he's like, hey, give me some tequila, you know, like when he's not going back in, that's the end of it. Like I think he's got a little bit of that wild side in him, and it may be like, you know what, I'm done. Yeah, like bring another bottle of tequila.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I guess we'll see how it goes. My gut is that he does come back. My gut is that I hate to say it, unfortunately, that he's never quite the same player that he previously was.
Yeah, I agree.
And I do think there's actually a reasonable chance that he's not. I don't know when his contract comes up, but I think that becomes a question.
Right? Yeah, I think there's always that business side of it that's going to be interesting. And then, you know, with that too is like, I don't think he'd go out this year because he's banged up a little bit. I think he had a hamstring issue, which is interesting. I don't know which side it was. So if it was the same side or the opposite side, there could have been some compensatory, you know, little compensation there could have predisposed him to that, and just didn't have enough power in that one leg coming back from, you know, the hamstring or whatever the case was.
I like him as a player though, man.
Oh,
I do. Yeah, he's a big personality, and So it hurts to see him go down.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think I saw something before the game against the Eagles that he was saying something like, "Yeah, I like coming to Philly because they hate on every team. You know, they don't discriminate."
No, and he's definitely like a good locker room guy from what it seems, and he's a good guy for just you know, all around the product of the NFL, right? Like, you know, so time will tell, and I think he comes back and is going to be a bit of not himself, but he'll make his comeback and then go out on his own way.
We'll see. We'll see if he can do it.
Yeah.
Where do we want to go next here?
We can jump ship to, we'll go to the Buffalo Bills here. they had a kind of they're a quasi-heavy favorite to come out of the AFC, going forward. Now, there's no Mahomes standing in Josh Allen's way this year.
Yeah.
It's his big kryptonite, if you will. However, he's doing it with not so great of a supporting cast. It's him, James Cook, who's, been phenomenal this year.
Right.
But they just had, Gabe Davis, who has been a great player for the Bills and Josh Allen. He went away to the Jaguars for a couple years and came back.
Right.
And he's always been like that big play guy for, Josh Allen down the stretch.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he went down towards ACL.
Yeah.
And now, obviously, he's out for the rest of the playoffs here. Josh Allen also got banged up in that game. He was evaluated for a concussion. Per some articles I read, I didn't see all of it, but he banged up his knee and his foot. And I did see he hit his hand on something at one point in time in the game, was kind of holding his arm. And you never want to see a quarterback go down with a throwing hand or throwing arm injury. But Josh Allen has battled through a lot of different things in his career so far. It'll be interesting to see what they can put together, right? Like they got to play the Broncos in Denver at Mile High on Saturday. So
wait, is that? Oh yeah, the Denver. You're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
That's gonna be a tough game.
Yeah,
ferocious D.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, Denver has looked good, and, with the number of injuries that Buffalo has had, I think that's going to be challenging moving forward.
And I think
and you're going to Mile High, right? Like
and then I think there are other receiver, Shivers or whatever his name is. I drew a blank, but I saw when we were getting our beer pre-show that he also went down after Gabe Davis. So it's like, now you're a couple guys down off the chopping block there, or the depth chart.
And Dalton Kincaid, the tight end, has kind of been off and on.
Yeah,
I
think it was noted that he was in a walking boot post game.
No.
But
which is generally, I think, considered it's kind of like their one sort of weaker area. Right?
Yeah.
Like, and then you have the defense like that. It may look like Houston on Pittsburgh. Of course, Josh Allen is not Aaron Rodgers, right?
Yeah.
He's way more mobile.
His escapability is way higher than Aaron Rodgers still currently.
Very, very interesting. I feel like he's always kind of been like on the cusp.
Mm-hmm.
Good player, not great player. I also think of him like, and I don't know why, maybe I have it wrong in my head, but like kind of tight end, wide receiver, hybrid, like a bigger guy out there on the field.
But I think his unfortunate thing that's been holding him back is this knee, specifically.
Is that right?
I think it's his left knee.
Yeah.
Apparently, he's also had a PCL injury to this back in 2024. And he also had a torn meniscus in 2025. And now he's kind of making his round, do the cycle, if you will. Now he's got the ACL tear.
Yeah.
And so this whole time he's kind of had a little bit of a bum wheel, like it's been holding him back, essentially.
Yeah.
Like maybe not. I don't know if I'm 100% right with this, but I think he went to the Jaguars, got a decent little contract down there.
Yeah.
Didn't really produce, got hurt with the knee again, and then kind of came back and kind of was like, not so much a reserve role, but he wasn't the number one guy, for Buffalo.
Sure.
Well, it makes you wonder with the prior injuries too. Did that kind of contribute to what happened now?
Right.
It's just, having already laxity of that knee, things prior injured, maybe not as strong on that side. Like, is all that playing into each other? Just getting older.
Yeah.
I heard there's a power station right next to their practice line.
Maybe they need to put one there.
Maybe it's helping.
But I mean, I think with that being said too, it's like who knows how the injuries and stuff, and I think. If I'm not mistaken, I think this year in their wide receiver room, they had Keon Coleman, who was benched a few times for just some disciplinary things, late to meetings or just other things that weren't working out.
Seems like he has a higher ceiling than he's really been able to achieve just yet. Yeah.
And then, a guy like Gabe Davis, who's not supposed to get that much playing time, uptick in playing time, and he's got this bad wheel, if you will, and then he goes out and kind of gives out on him for, So.
Right. I don't count him out yet, though. I mean, and I think the AFC is wide open. I do. New England is pretty good. There are questions about their schedule. Denver, the defense is really good, and their offense is good, not spectacular. And I think there are questions of I think it's wide open. And the Bills have been there before, right? Like they've gone down this road. They have some of these games, and although they're pretty banged up, I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. I think they still have a shot.
No, for sure. And I think Denver is interesting because, I don't think Denver had been super strong in the past couple of years. Like, they
seem to be on the cusp.
Yeah.
Right. They're finally putting it together.
Yeah. So, I think there's a lot of opening for any of these teams in the AFC to really go the distance. So, I don't know.
They finally got like a good running, and they had a good running back, but they were always dealing with injury, right? And then now they have a good running back. Nick's looks really good. They're finally putting it together.
But even with that said, too, they have I think he's a rookie, right? RJ Harvey.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing really well. Who kind of got bumped up because of injury to J.K. Dobbins, I believe, was on there.
I think the expectation was it was only a matter of time before he took over.
Yeah, and I mean he's took it and ran with it, pun intended. But he's been doing really well. Another guy who's on their team that's phenomenal is Cortland Sutton's great.
I know. Underrated. I feel like he's a guy that does it year in, year out and just doesn't get enough credit. Yeah.
And we just talked about last show Alex Singleton and all the stuff that he went through, and he's back playing now. So
an incredible story from that whole thing.
Right.
It's just wild.
Totally amazing.
Crazy. Yeah.
And I just think Denver, from a stamina standpoint, just has an advantage for playing at altitude and everything else.
When they get home field advantage, you're like every other team's like,
Oh, here we go.
No, I was gonna say it makes a difference.
Sure.
It is different. I mean, it is thin. You get fatigued quickly until you really are there for a period of time, really building up that resistance to it. It's hard.
Now it wasn't Denver, but I remember when I was in med school, a bunch of us we went to Salt Lake City. We went to Utah. We were going to southern Utah to go do like the whole tour of the parks down there, which is unbelievable. And Salt Lake City isn't quite the same altitude as Denver, but I remember getting there, and then there was something, I don't even know if it's still open or not. They had Muddy Putty Caves that were right outside of Salt Lake City, and my one buddy who's kind of nuts, but really knew the area, like he's like, we gotta go do this, and kind of crawling through and everything. And I just remember running from the car where we parked to where the cave was, which is in my memory, or like is probably like quarter mile, not very far, and being like 40 steps in and being like, what is happening? Like I felt like I had no idea what was coming. So like it is real, man. If people haven't experienced the altitude thing and the thin air, like there is an adjustment period.
There really is. I was
even skiing, right? You're all of a sudden your legs are gone.
Oh yeah, it takes. I was saying, I was out there last year, and it was funny. There's the Manitou incline. It's like a 2,700 stair climb up a mountain.
Oh god!
And I just took my time and just did it real slow. I was accustomed. I had some friends visiting, and I was like, "You guys just go," and they all petered out, and I just walked right past.
Is that right? Yeah. Do you remember? I feel like maybe we brought this up at one point, but. So back in the day, right, Ryan Clark, who was a sickle cell, I think, trait, right? But they wouldn't let him play in that, and he would want to. And Tomlin, to his credit, Tomlin, they wouldn't let him play, and like that's a serious advantage. Right?
So when I worked down at Morgan State, we played at Air Force for football season. I remember I made some phone calls. I was like, "What do you?"
Boulder.
Yeah, like what do you guys do when you travel to these different places? And we had a couple guys who had sickle cell trait, and we were just like,
it's not worth it.
Like some people were like, "Yeah, we try to get a couple days early to see if we can get a little acclimatization."
Yeah.
I think I talked to the AT at Army. Maybe he was like, "Yeah, we just go in, get in and get out, and hope for the best and see what happens." We sat all our kids with sickle cell for that game. We didn't let them play.
Yeah.
But I remember, our hotel room was up like a hill, and we went down to the gas station to get like snacks or whatever. And walking up and down the hill, I was like, oh man, this like cooked me. I was like done. That wasn't that far of a walk. But I was like, oh, this is going to be an interesting game tomorrow. And sure enough, first half was, status quo for football. We were getting pummeled. But then the second half, the fatigue sets in, and man, they started dropping. Like, I was like, oh, this is a big problem.
Right. All right, where to next?
I think we can shuffle over to. We'll talk about the Rams. The Rams are playing at the Bears next Sunday. Matt Stafford didn't go down, but he suffered an injury to his throwing hand on his index finger, I believe. He went down, he hit it on something, and got jammed up. And it was a big concern. Obviously, like I mentioned before, a quarterback goes down with any injury to the throwing side of their body. It's kind of an issue. Luckily, he was able to finish the game. Reports said the x-rays were negative, so it's likely just a sprained finger, and that apparently it's been quoted that he said he'll be ready to rock next week. However, I think it's interesting with a sprained finger, you can have a little bit of grip loss, if you will, and it's also going to be
issues.
the high of 15 degrees and the low of 8 degrees on Sunday in Chicago.
Yeah. I was gonna say, playing in Chicago in the cold.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
a little cold and windy.
It's a classic NFL experience,
Yeah.
but I mean that's hard. I mean that takes its toll, even if it's just a jammed finger. Like you're trying to get that grip. That precision, and it takes its toll on you.
Yeah, and you talk about the cold and the wind, and I don't know if you guys watched the telecast for the Eagles game, but Tom Brady was calling the game, and he went on this long dissertation about how you throw a football in wind and cold and all this stuff.
Deflate it. No, sorry.
Well, that's step one. But no, he went on this long dissertation about how you change the angle of your hand and all these other things. And like with that, having the dexterity and the grip to do those different throws could affect Matt Stafford down the stretch and could just be bothersome. It could be definitely a very annoying thing to deal with, pending how the game goes, if he's in a situation where he has to throw a lot or vice versa or whatever the case is.
Right.
Do you know which finger it was?
I believe it's his index finger.
Yeah. I feel like that's a bad one.
That's a pretty important one. Pinky on your throwing hand probably could get away with it much easier, but the index, I think, would be a bit more problematic for him.
A little bit of squeeze. Yeah. And I wonder what exactly, or specifically, the injury was. Right. Like at what level is it? Is it at the MCP where the finger kind of meets up with the hand? Is it one of the PIP or the DIP or one of the other joints? And then also, what exactly was affected? Right? Is this a central slip issue? Is this one of the collateral ligaments? And all these little things will factor in. And then the other thing that you do see oftentimes is, and especially like volar plate on the it gets pretty tender, right? And all of a sudden, next thing you know, like we're saying, it just hurts. You can't grip. You can't quite make a fist. I don't know. I still think he'll be fine.
Matt Stafford has been known to be tough as all heck.
Do a little buddy taping, look the other way, throw the ball to the right while he's looking left, whatever.
Yeah, he's no-look throws the whole time he's out there anyway. So
absolutely. You get worried though, if he's had like one of those tenuous moments, he's got to drop back. Someone hits his arm though, may not have the same grip that he wants. Risk for fumble it or
kind of kept the Steelers in there for longer than they should have. Right?
Right.
Marcus Stroud kind of. Dropping the ball 4 times.
That was crazy in that regard for that game too.
Disappointing.
To talk about the Texans a little bit too is that Nico Collins went down with a concussion. Yeah. He's not the only one on the concussion report for this week. Christian Gonzalez from the Patriots also in the same game for next week. The Texans are playing at is it Gillette Stadium still in New England, right?
I think it is.
Right.
Yeah.
They're
playing in New England.
Yeah, they're playing in New England. So I think the tricky thing with Nico Collins is that he got injured last night, and we record on Tuesday, so Monday night. So he goes down on a Monday night, and the protocol is kind of tough to go through from Monday to Sunday. Typically, Sunday to Sunday a little bit better. Yeah. The NFL is very strict on how you progress through it. So it'd be interesting to see how he does throughout the week. Typically if he's having issues or symptoms going forward, and he may not be able to go, and I think this is the second concussion this season. With that added on, you kind of have a little bit of extra recovery time, just naturally how it works. After the second one, you probably need a little bit. Just takes longer.
And I thought it looked like he was posturing a little bit. Like I thought it looked pretty bad. Yeah.
I was gonna say when he went down, he didn't look great. Going down, like he looked like he was uncomfortable. So.
Right.
Yeah. So with that being said, I would imagine that he's likely out going into this game on Sunday just for timing's sake, and obviously that time is also pretty much based for his own safety as well. And similar thing with Christian Gonzalez, who's also had a couple injuries this year as well, I think. But there goes your 1-1 matchup though. Their top cornerback, your top receiver go out, so now it's kind of the playing field's even, right? Like 1 for 1, if you will. So I think that's kind of that'll kind of play itself out and kind of see where that goes from there.
Who do you think wins that game?
I'll go with the Texans. Why not? I think the Patriots are good, but I don't think they're gonna. Yeah. Again, I think both teams, the Texans and the Patriots, I think they're good, but I don't think they're that great. So it's curious how they match up. Wide open.
Yeah.
Right.
What are your thoughts?
I don't know. I kind of think the Patriots are going to pull through there. I mean, the Texans in that game yesterday against the Steelers. I mean, they didn't look awesome for 3.5 quarters, and then they really kind of started putting it together and just blew things away. But I think New England's looked pretty solid this year.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah. I find it interesting that the Steelers beat 2 of the remaining 4 teams, and they beat the Patriots and they beat the Broncos earlier in the year.
Yeah.
Clearly, those teams are not the same teams that they were earlier in the year. I don't know. I still don't quite understand how New England is doing it. Is May actually just like that good? And might be the case. He's
super
efficient,
man. He just doesn't.
And it makes me angry if he is, because why is he in New England?
Right. How did they get it again?
Yeah, how did they get it again? But I think you're right. My gut is that New England probably pulls it out. But I think it's going to be a good game. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be fun.
So with that, I mean, we might as well just finish out the slate, right? We talked Texans, Patriots. We'll go back up to the top here. The Bills and Broncos play Saturday at 4:30. Who do you guys think is coming out of that one?
Surprisingly, I think it's going to be the Broncos. Yeah, I mean, traditionally, I think you think of the Bills as like this unbelievable team, but I do think it's a slightly down year, and you got all these other things kind of going against them. I don't know. I'm going to lean towards the Broncos on this one.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. I think the Broncos they're just a little bit more. They had that rest week that they were off, coming in a little fresh, not having the injuries. So.
Sometimes it comes back to haunt teams, right?
That's
They
true.
come out rusty. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so
true.
I'll just play devil's advocate. I'll say the Bills.
There you go.
Why not? But I think for that reason, though, I think sometimes those rested teams don't do so great coming back.
Right.
That sometimes you just got to keep that momentum going. You don't lose your weekly schedule, right? Like these guys are just creatures of habit. Sunday they play, they Monday film, whatever the case is, and you take them out of that for a week. They kind of like a little too much rest kind of deal, and they're like a little out of tune. They got to play.
Do you think that came back to haunt the Eagles? Like first is the knock, right? Like in terms of like who they wound up playing, right? They wound up with the 3rd seed. They could have bumped up to the number 2, maybe, and then number 2. If you have some of your better players not playing as much or sitting or whatnot, did that factor into that loss?
Yeah, I mean, now that you say that, their starters got rested and we settled for the 3rd seed instead of the 2. I think it would have made a little bit of a difference.
Right.
Changed the matchups a little bit. Could have been a different outcome.
Right. We'll never know.
We'll never know, but they fired Kevin Patullo already, so we're good to go. We're on to better things.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, it came out this afternoon, so a lot of changes up in the coaching world for that.
Well, I think from like his standpoint and Tomlin's standpoint, I think it's one of these things that's kind of like the people have spoken. They're just they're not happy at this point. And
people have spoken.
Pennsylvania isn't happy with what's happening in the NFL world.
And they're very loud with their opinions. And
they are.
Very much in Philly, right? Like very much in Philly. And I think also in Philly, maybe more so than most other teams, I think the owners listen. They listen to sports talk radio. They hear what people are saying, and they are influenced by the public perception. I do. It's crazy.
No, I totally agree. I think it plays a big role into the way that things are perceived, and I think it's one of these things too. Is just like when you compare it to last year, like it just wasn't the same. And I think people they're I don't want to say out for blood, but they want to see someone responsible for it.
And I think and again, I have debates, if you will. They're not really arguments with my friends and all these people about how good Jalen Hurts is. But then you look at just kind of his stat sheet or his coaching lineup, if you will. He's had a different coordinator almost his whole career, going all the way back to college. He's only had like 2 times in his career he's had the same coordinator back-to-back years.
Right.
The one was the year they went to the Super Bowl with Shane Steichen from the Colts, who's the head coach now.
Right.
And they did really well last year with Kellen Moore. Now he did pretty good down in New Orleans for his first year, trying to figure out the whole situation down there. And they ended on a high note.
Right.
I think figuring out what they could do as a team down there. So.
Well said.
If they get a good offensive coordinator who can figure out how to get the best out of Jalen Hurts and all the weapons they have,
right,
I think it's argued that we have a chance to make a splash next year. But we're not in it anymore, and the 49ers are, and they're playing the Seahawks at Seattle, which is
another
place to play. The 12-man is real. It's very loud, and it's very interesting this year with the Seahawks. Right, Sam Darnold getting moved over, doing lights out over there. The whole team across the board doing really well. Jackson Smith and Jigba lighting it up across the the league all year. I think, though, this is going to be the 49ers' last stop. I think the Seahawks are just doing really good this year.
I don't know. You see Sam Darnold, like when he's good, he's really good. Mm-hmm. But you see some of those clunkers every now and again, and until he proves it, like he does it in the playoffs, I don't know. Yeah, and they're better team coming in, but San Fran was good down the stretch. Last week of the season aside, but in general, they're really good down the stretch.
Yeah.
I foresee somehow San Fran pulling this out. I don't know. If I might be in the minority here, but that's just my thought.
I don't know. We'll see. I think I definitely think Kittle is definitely a big loss for them.
Good point.
That's going to hurt moving into next week. And,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Seattle's look very good, but I'd have to pick Seattle on this one. But we'll see. I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah.
If the 49ers can
It's
pull
the
it off.
popular pick, right? Like they look to be the better team coming in.
For sure.
We'll see.
And just for reference, they just played each other about 2 weeks ago.
Right.
The final score was 13-3. Seahawks won that game.
I'm sorry, that was the game that I was referring to. I thought it was
yeah.
the last week of the season. There were 2 games. Yeah, okay.
So
All right.
very interesting, right? They started the year playing each other at 17-13. The 49ers won.
Yeah.
But granted, everyone was at full health then, and they played the last game of the season, and it was 13-3. So I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game with the sample size we have for
Right.
the last 2
Seemed
games,
like
right? And then we talked Texans and Patriots, and the last one to go down for divisional round here is Rams and Bears. Rams at the Bears, Windy City, nice, real cold.
We just talked about Stafford's finger.
Yeah.
Puka Nacua, really outside of Tom Brady, maybe like one of the best picks, in the NFL draft of all time. 5th round, he's unbelievable.
He's great, yeah.
And there have been some injury issues here and there, but for as long as that guy stays healthy, it's mind blowing.
Mm-hmm.
He catches everything, and he's a powerhouse, and he's fast, and he's amazing. And I don't know if he gets enough credit. Really, honestly.
And I think a thing that with him as well is that he does all the right stuff when he's not involved. Right. When it's a running play,
blocking down a field,
blocking that guy, all like in the blind side, blocking him out into the sideline kind of deal.
Right.
And is Devontae supposed to play? I imagine he's playing.
Yeah.
And that's a.
He got injured last game.
Oh, did he?
Oh, he did? Oh, no, I didn't see that.
No. So he was evaluated for a concussion, came back in the game. I'm
Got
sorry.
it.
He did take a pretty wicked hit on the sideline. And it looked kind of questionable, and then he ended up coming back. So good to see. And I think afterwards he had like a bloody tongue or something along those lines. But
credit to Carolina for hanging in there and almost knocking
that would
them
have made
off.
a big upset. That
Right.
would have been huge for Carolina to come in, and lucky for them, right? They hosted the Rams.
Right.
They almost had them. They came pretty
Tedderell
close.
McMillan, man.
For sure. I'm definitely pro Bears on this one. Rooting for them going. We'll see. They've had so much disappointment for so long.
Yeah.
I'd love to see them do great. So.
It is the team that I'm rooting for. It is also a team that I feel like should they really be there? They've had and the truth is, because they know how to win, and that's what gets you there. Right? But they've done it so many times. I feel like it's only a matter of time before you're the ability to come back in the fourth quarter down a bunch of points. Eventually, it runs out. Eventually, something goes wrong. You don't complete the comeback. And
for sure.
Yeah.
I was gonna say there's one of those things. It's you only get so lucky so many times
right,
in a row,
right,
where then
yeah.
your kind of luck runs out.
And I think the Bears, I kind of would maybe agree with you with the Bears, is that they have 2 special players that somehow always find their way deep into the playoffs.
Right.
One being C.J. Gardner-Johnson on the defensive side, and then secondly, Joe Thuney on the offensive line. He's been in the last 6 Super Bowls for
Is that
he
right?
was on the Patriots and he was on the Chiefs,
Yeah.
and now he just knows how to make himself in the conference championship game. So
Right.
he's got one of those weird things going on.
Is he that good, or does he know how to pick them?
Yeah, right.
I was gonna say, I think he just knows how to pick them. Just
Yeah,
gets on the right spot at the right time.
Right team, right time, and right thing to do, and see what happens. And I think it'll be interesting going forward. And then after that, Championship Sunday, then we're a couple weeks away from the Super Bowl already, which is wild.
I know. It's crazy. It goes quickly.
Yeah.
And then the drought.
Yeah,
Right? Then we got to wait for the next season.
And then we got to talk. Then we'll start talking basketball and
Olympics.
other things.
We got some
we
Olympics.
do have the Winter Olympics coming this year.
Yeah.
It's coming up, yeah.
It's always a little bit fun, a little bit different.
A little different, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there will be some great stories that come out of that too. And we're going to try to touch on those topics as well.
Yeah.
As they come out. So we'll see how that unfolds, if you will.
You're dismissing hockey a little bit.
Well,
it's always trickier though to talk about hockey injuries because we really don't get a lot of information
their
about
information
hockey
very, very vague.
Yeah, I was gonna say some of the hockey ones are tough, from that standpoint. You don't get a lot of that. But
We just get upper body injury, lower body injury.
right.
Requires surgery, out for undisclosed amount of time. It's all right, well, I don't know how we go down deep in the weeds with that. Unless we see it and we can speculate,
Or sometimes the player will come out and say something on
Right.
there, and then you got something to work with.
I was gonna say, other than the player on the Avalanche, that he's a well-known story. Gabe,
Landeskog?
Landeskog.
Yeah, we covered him. We covered the the transplant surgery, right? The cartilage transplant, I think.
Yeah.
Great story.
Interesting. Well, that was a wild story as well. So yeah, before we go ahead and close out, anything else, gentlemen?
It'll be fun. Like watching the playoffs, watching the stretch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. It just stinks that neither one of our teams won.
Okay, one last question. We kind of went individual winners. Who's winning the Super Bowl from these 8 teams that are left? Who do you think? One final question.
It's parity across the NFL, and it still holds true, which makes that a very challenging question to answer. Where are we going to go with this? I think that. I don't know.
I think I'm going to go with Denver.
Okay.
I was just there. I feel their connection to
there
them.
You go.
So
little Colorado connection.
Yeah,
I like it.
I'm gonna push for them. So
there you go.
Without conviction, unfortunately, but I think I got to go towards the Rams. You got Stafford. You got someone who's been there. And granted, they were just tested, but they do have all the pieces.
That's a good point. I don't know what I'm going to say either. I asked a question, didn't even have a good answer. I'll say it happens finally for the Bills. I'll give it to them. All right, Josh Allen finally figures it out.
Yeah.
Finally get it.
Finally, right? Like, it took them all this time and break that horrible curse that the Buffalo's just been dealing. They've been plenty of success, but they haven't gotten that damn trophy yet.
Not at all.
Hopefully they figure it out, right?
And you guys are probably a little bit young, but I do remember 4 straight years.
Oh yeah.
God. Yeah.
That's got to be rough.
I know. So and it's a city that loves their team. You know what I mean?
Bills Mafia's next level fan base for sure.
They deserve it. They do.
I would love to see them win too. They would be a great pick. They would really enjoy it.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen, before we go ahead and close out our tab here tonight, we're just going to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Virtua Orthopedics and Spine, from runner's knee and dog walker's hip. They have a doc for that. Yard work back and laptop wrist. They have a doc for that too. Virtua Orthopedics and Spine has over 120 providers, over 20 PT and rehab facilities, and more than 25 surgical centers all across South Jersey. So find the right specialist for you at virtua.org/ortho. Shout out to Neck of the Woods Brewing Company, giving us the best beer in South Jersey. Our guy Brian behind the bar helping us out all night. And lastly, Timberreel Productions, our guy Kyle over there helping us get all this multimedia out on our socials. We appreciate you, and we'll see you all next time.